It's Miss Maureen from the Huntington Public Library, and welcome to June's Storybook Adventures. And this time around, I will be reading Suki and the Mermaid by Robert D. Sansucci, illustrated by Brian Pickney, and it is a Coretta Scott King Award book, so I hope you enjoy it. I love this tale. And then we will be doing a mermaid craft with the stuff that you received in your kit, although yours I'm sure will look 100% different, which is great because Art World needs everybody's different art input. So, and I hope you email me pictures of your finished art piece because I love seeing them. I love it, I love it, I love it. Well, that said, let's get on with our story. All right, so we have Suki and the Mermaid by so this is a tale told by Robert D. Sansucci and illustrated by Brian Pickney. And it's set way down in South Carolina. Storytellers say this happened once upon a time on a little island off the coast of South Carolina. A girl named Suki lived with her ma and steppa in a cabin with a sagging porch and a roof so rickety it let in sunshine or rain, depending on the weather. Every morning at day clean, Suki would get up to sling her hoe at the weeds in the vegetable garden. If she stopped to fan herself with her wide straw hat, her steppa would shout, "Suki, don't you be skylarking!" The girl's mother called her new husband Mr. Jones, but Suki had her own name for the bossy, do-nothing man. As her hoe rose and fell, she sang, "Mr. Hard Time, since you come, my ma don't like me, my work never done. Mr. Hard Times won't do a lick, just say work faster or whip you with a stick." One hot afternoon, when her steppa wasn't looking, Suki threw down her hoe and took off. Excuse me. She ran through the woods of pine and palmetto and mossy oak, past dunes fringed with broom grass, to the beach of the shining white sand that was her to the beach of the shining white sand that was her secret hideaway. She sat down, pulled off her hat, and unwound the white kerchief from around her head. The sea breeze cooled her burning face, while she wriggled her bare feet deep to where the sand was wet and cold. She sang a little song she had heard somewhere. "Thee, thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe." Suddenly, a beautiful brown-eyed, black-eyed mermaid rose up in the water. Hair as green as seaweed hung down to the mermaid's waist. Sunlight sparked off the gold combs off the gold combs in her hair and the green scales of her fishtail. The girl was mighty frightened, but the mermaid said pleasantly, "How do, m'lady? You look so hot there in the sun. Come into the water and cool off." Now, Suki had heard folks warn, "Them mermaids catch you and pull you beneath the water." So she said, "No, missus, I can't swim." "I'll teach you to swim if you wish," the mermaid said. Then she added gently, "You had no reason, to fear me, my lady. I came because your song called me." But Suki would only wade along the water's edge, while the mermaid dove under the waves and rose and dove again. Each time she brought Suki something, a curious shell, or red and white coral, or bits of green and blue glass, polished like jewels by the sea. When the sun began to set, Suki cried, "Oh, I'm gonna be whipped for sure. I clean forgot to feed the chickens and draw water from the river." "Give this to your folks," said the mermaid, pressing a gold coin into Suki's hand, "and they won't scold you. But you must promise not to tell them about me. When you want to see me again, just come here and sing, 'Thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe.'" Then Mama Joe disappeared beneath the waves. Suki hurried home. At first her ma and steppa yelled because she had not done her chores. But when she gave them the mermaid's coin, they stared in wonder. "Where'd you get this?" her ma asked. "On the edge of the water," said Suki. "Well," said her steppa, "go off tomorrow to the water's edge and see if you can find some more of these." "I will," Suki answered, happy to have more time to spend with the mermaid. After this, Suki went to the shore every morning when the day was clean. The mermaid taught her to swim, and sometimes they dove through the water together. One day, the two sat talking beside the waves. "Soon, I'm gonna leave this island to the main," said Suki. "I'll live in a fine place like Beaufort or Charleston." "My home is below the sea, away from the world of men," said Mama Joe. "You could come with me if you want." "I don't think so," said Suki. Before she dove under the waves at first dark, the mermaid would give Suki one small gold coin. This the girl gave to her folks so her ma could buy meat and rice and flannel. But Mr. Jones spent most on Malafi whiskey, which came by boat from the mainland, so things were not much better in the tumble-down cabin. Suki's ma grew more and more curious to know where her daughter found the gold coins. One morning she followed Suki to the shore. Hiding in the broom grass on a sand dune, she heard Suki sing, "Thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe." The woman watched in amazement as the girl and mermaid swam in the ocean, and she saw the mermaid give Suki one gold coin at day's end. That night, while Suki slept, her ma whispered to Mr. Jones about what she had seen. "I'll catch that merman," her husband said. "I'll sell him on the main for a pile of gold." Before day clean, as Suki was sleeping, her ma and steppa carried their canoe down to the shore. There the woman sang, "Thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe." When the mermaid rose up in the water, Mr. Jones chased her in the canoe. He flung his net at her, but the angry mermaid dove beneath the water. She did not come up again, though Suki's ma sang this magic song over and over. At last, husband and wife gave up and went home, each blaming the other for what had happened. They said nothing to Suki, who went to the shore as usual. But Mama Joe did not answer the girl's song that day, or any day. Suki grieved for her lost friend, but because there was no more gold, Mr. Jones made her hoe the garden, clean the house, and haul water until she took sick. Soon she grew so weak that she could barely get out of bed. But in a dream, the mermaid visited her and said, "I will come to you once more and take you to live with me beneath the sea. If you want this, go to the shore and sing, thee, down below, take me down, Mama Joe. Though she was very tired and sickly, Suki crept down to the shore while her ma and step-pa were away. There she sang softly, thee, down below, take me down, Mama Joe. To her joy, the mermaid rose up. She wrapped strands of her magical hair around Suki so the girl could travel safely beneath the waves. Then they plunged into the ocean. The mermaid carried Suki down through the water to her home in the seawall. Suki found herself in a vast dry cave. All around her, mother of pearl glowed and filled the place with soft, warm light. Mama Joe said, "This is your home now. I will never scold you down here." For a while, Suki was happy. The mermaid taught her sea songs and gave her strands of pearls and showed her a rusty chest filled with gold and jewels from a sunken pirate ship. In return, Suki would amuse her friend with riddles she had learned. But after some length of time, the girl began to pine for the sound of human voices and the mockingbird's sweet song at day clean, for the scent of wild magnolias and jasmine, for the sky of delicious blue dotted with white clouds and gulls. She pleaded with Mama Joe, "Do carry me back home, missus." At first the mermaid said no, but touched by Suki's tears, she said, "Very well. If you ask me a riddle I can't answer, I will take you home." So Suki thought and thought. Finally she said, "There's something at work all day, and when night come, she go under the bed and rest." "What's that?" Mama Joe thought and thought, but she could not solve the riddle. "That's a shoe!" Suki cried. But she had picked the riddle because the mermaid had no feet, and Suki was always barefoot. "I will carry you back to land," said Mama Joe with a sigh. "But time has passed in the world above while you've been with me. You are a grown woman now. Go to the pirate's chest and take a bag full of coins and jewels. This will be your dowry. When you return, many men will court you, but marry only the man named Dembo. If you choose another husband, your treasure will disappear." Then the mermaid wrapped her mossy hair around Suki and brought it to shore. The young woman returned to the rickety cabin where she found her ma and step-pa. Suki's ma had grown old, grieving for her lost daughter. She embraced Suki with tears of joy. Mr. Jones had grown meaner, until he seemed only dry bones and bitterness. Seeing Suki's treasure, he pretended to welcome her home. He hid his face in his hands as though he were crying too, but he couldn't squeeze one salty tear from his eyes. When story got around that the young woman had brought a rich dowry, all young men came courting her. But Suki remembered the mermaid's warning and refused them all. Then one day, a hard-working fisherman rowed across from the mainland to court her. "Name is Dumbo," he said simply. Suki studied his eyes and saw love and honesty and kindness in them. Though he was not as tall or as handsome as her other suitors, she was happy with the man the mermaid had chosen for her. Suki's ma and her neighbors planned a fine wedding, but Mr. Jones had other plans. "I'm gonna get that gold," he promised himself. The night before the wedding, while Suki and her ma were away, the wicked man struck Dumbo dead and stole the treasure. No one saw him do the deed, so he hid the bag under his mattress. When Suki discovered the crime, her grief was beyond measure. She ran to the seashore, where she cried, Thee, down below, come to me, Mama Joe." The mermaid appeared, and so Suki told her unhappy tale. Then Mama Joe said, "This is the last time I will come to you, my lady. You must now choose forever between my world and the world of men. Think carefully. Below, the sea is a gentle place without time or pain. Up here, hurt and hunger are never far away, and time is always ready to steal what little you have." But Suki said, "I must have Dumbo. Do bring my sweetheart back to me, and I won't bother you after this." Mama Joe dropped the seed pearl into the young woman's palm. "Set this on Dumbo's lips," she told Suki. Then with a sad, "Goodbye, my lady," she vanished beneath the waves. Suki raced back to her cabin, where Dumbo rested in a plain pine coffin. While her ma and the other mourners looked on, she put the tiny pearl on Dumbo's closed lips. Right away, life came into him again. Sitting up, he pointed to Mr. Jones and cried, "That's the one who hit me." But the wicked man snatched the treasure bag and fled to the shore, pursued by Suki, Dumbo, and the others. Mr. Jones jumped into his canoe and paddled away. But as everyone watched, a single dark cloud formed above the boat. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. The ocean beneath the cloud began to churn, and high waves swamped the canoe. In a moment, the angry water swallowed the boat and its passenger. Suddenly, the sky cleared, and the sea changed. Though they were sorry to have lost the mermaid's treasure, Suki and Dumbo were happy to have each other. They comforted Suki's ma, who said, "Mr. Jones wasn't much, but he was all I had in this world." "You got us, ma," said Suki, giving her a hug. "We'll all be getting along just fine now." The next day, the wedding went ahead as planned. Afterwards, Suki took Dumbo's hand and led him down to the shore. As the two sat on the beach, Suki wriggled her toes deep in the white sand and felt something hidden there. Together, they dug up the lost treasure bag. At that moment, Suki saw the flash of sunlight on green scales and gold combs far out to sea. She blew a kiss across the waves and heard sweet laughter in return. Storytellers say, "I step on a thing and the thing bend," and that's the way my story ends. I hope you enjoyed that. Now I'm going to read the author note here, tell how he came to this story with writing this story, because I think it's very interesting. So, the basis of Suki and the Mermaid is a brief folk tale, almost a fragment, recorded in Elsie Clues Parsons' Folklore of the Sea Islands, South Carolina, published in 1923 by the American Folklore Society. It is one of the relatively few authenticated African American folk tales involving mermaids. Others can be found in Richard M. Dawson's American Negro Folktales and in Harold Corlander's A Treasury of Afro-American Folklore. Because the Sea Island account seemed to be a brief version of a longer story, I searched for more complete narratives in other African American traditions. This led me to investigate Caribbean folklore, where I discovered that Pretty Joe of the Parson story, or Mama Joe as the character is called in parallel text, is derived from Mama Delo, or Water Mother, a term for mermaid. I did not find the root tale I saw, but many clues pointed to Africa as a likely source of a still earlier version. Indeed, a West African tale of a young girl's encounter with a female water spirit provided the missing story elements for my version. With all these things in place, Suki and the Mermaid began to take its present shape. And that's just what I read from the author notes. I hope you enjoyed that, and now we're going to go on with our craft. Welcome to my craft table, which is really my dining room table. I'm just using this now for crafts. I did cover the tablecloth with a cut open paper bag, so that way my mess does not make its way onto the tablecloth. And as you see, I have spread out around the foam board. I've spread out the bits and bobs you should have in your kit. I did cut out some of the pictures because I wasn't sure exactly what I was doing, what my art sense and my art heart was going to take, where it was going to take me. I also have some extra, I had some extra paints that I brought out. I did bring some colored pencils, but with this type of foam core, the colored pencils, they pretty much, if you can see here, because I was tracing this mermaid, it just makes a dent in the foam core, which I'm actually now tracing with the purple Sharpie. And also over here, I have some glue on a paper plate at the ready to mix with some paint, because I'm going to mix some paint with that glue, and then I'm going to put my fish scales on that. So let me get to finishing tracing my mermaid, and then I will also trace my dolphin, and I'll be back with that. Okay, so as you can see, I finished tracing my mermaid there, and I've mixed some paints. I've mixed some green with some white to lighten it up, and I mixed some lavender with some blue, and for that also add a little bit of white to lighten it up. And I'm going to get painting, and then I will show you as I put the scales on. Okay, my mermaid is painted, and I have my scales. And if you do need to cut these a little bit smaller for your mermaid, however you're doing, or your merman, whichever you have decided to do, or all of them, you can cut them with a regular scissor, but I would suggest a grown-up's help, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit more of my glue down on top of the paint and place my mermaid scales down, and you will see that in 1 second. Okay, see, there's my mermaid with her scales in. Now that white color you see over the paint, that's just a glue, and it will dry up clear, so you will see the green paint underneath. Right, so now I'm going to work on tracing my dolphin. If you notice the picture that I used that you guys got in your kit, it is made, that's a little smudge of paint that I got on there, but that's okay. I'm going to be painting that when I paint the blue sea. Well, blue-green mix of colors, see, because that's, but anyway, back to the dolphin. As you can see, the dolphin here and the picture was made with buttons, which is a beautiful idea, but I don't have those buttons handy. But if you do, I would say go for it if you want to. As I said, and you don't even have to use this mermaid picture that I use. You can use any of them that I have here that you received in your kit. Just have fun with it. But again, I would love to see them. But anyway, let me just go on with getting on my dolphin traced on. Okay, as you see, I now have my dolphin trace, and funny enough, and with both the Sharpie. And there's the color I'm going to paint him. I mixed blue, some white, and some yellow to get that color. And also after I do that, before I I didn't forget, but I'm going out of order, but that's all right. I'm going to cut the yarn that we got, and I have little bits of yarn that I had at home, and I'm gonna cut and glue them for my mermaid's hair. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, everybody, I finished painting my dolphin, and I just put the glue on top of the mermaid's hair head so I can I have all the strings, so I'm going to be putting that. I figure a nice mix of blue and green hair would be pretty cool, and that way she can camouflage herself in the deep sea. All right, be back in a sec. Okay, mermaid hair is glued on. Again, do not worry about that white color on the hair. That's just a glue, and that does dry clear. And now I'm going to paint the sea around my mermaid and my dolphin. Obviously, they're both playing. Maybe do a little sun, but let's see. I'll be back in a jiff. Okay, as you can see, I finished my sea, and I had the blue that you had in the packet, and I had another lighter blue which I used, and then I also used some of the turquoise that I made for the dolphin, and I blended with my finger, and as you can see, so I like the little wave effects. And now I'm starting the sky, and I decided to do a sunset, so I'm gonna do some yellows, some orange, some reds, and then mix it all up. All right, so I will be back in a sec with that, and okay, there you go. There's my sunset on the sea with my mermaid and my dolphin. Again, you can choose whichever. You may do something totally different, and that is beautiful, because art is meant to be different with your own perspective, with your own art heart. So again, please send me your pictures, your paintings, however you did your mermaid or merman art, or your merman/mermaid art. All right, I look forward to seeing them. I would suggest that you let your artwork dry outside in the sunshine. That'll do that quicker, because you want to make sure it's completely dry before you post it anywhere. Put it in the living room, wherever your artwork is hanging in the house. Right front and center, I hope.